Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, Miss Crest? How you doing, Mr. Gardner?
What's up?
Doing well, doing well.
Hi,
All right.
Ken.
It is, as we get closer to Christmas, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. This is likely to be our second to last access denied of the year. This is something we've been doing since March. We are very proud, and I'll let Ms. Crest introduce herself, but we're proud to have former alum and our parent organizer on today. And Torvis, I'll pass it to you to introduce yourself, and then we'll finish out with Ms. Crest.
I'm Torvis Gardner. I'm a parent organizer for National Propel, and that's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm Carrie Kress, and I am a parent at MPS, and been super excited to get involved with Propel and learn more about advocating for my child and for the children in our community.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'll add a little bit more to Miss Carrie Crest. We met Carrie. I don't know how we were organizing online. Had a great conversation with her that eventually led to our fellowship. And usually we don't do actions until the end, just to give people a chance to learn. But we ended up, you never know when it comes. And we had an action at the school board. And not only did Carrie come, she brought her daughter. And at one point, we were socially distanced, and they just asked parents to speak up. And she spoke up, and her words were powerful. And then they had pictures of her speaking, and that looked just as strong. And so, just happy. And as she graduated cohort 5, as you can see, cohort 5 is still alive. So if you got cohort members on here, please be willing to chime in as we just talk about some issues that we're dealing with MNPS. And so we'll just start off like we always do, just to talk about virtual learning, guys. And Torvis, we'll start with you. Like, how has virtual learning been going in your household? The good, the bad, and or the ugly. And it's on mute.
Well, it started out with no access, no Wi-Fi. That part has gotten better, but now it's more of an instruction type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for kids to understand. They are not really in front of the teacher, and they need the teacher because they don't know it. So it's kind of hard for them to try to grasp the concept, especially if they teach them multiple different ways to do things. So it's a struggle with just trying to see the format and the way it's doing. And that was happening, especially like with math. Now a lot of the kids are learning the old school way. Line them up 20 plus 20 and you get the answer. And then, you tell your child to go back and go through the little formats of what they're doing. But you get the right answer and check the answer the old school way, they're getting the answer. But this part of being at home now because the parents are the teachers, so they don't have time to learn all this new stuff and new ways. And if it don't make sense to them, there's no way they can make it make sense to their child. So that's going to be another gap when they go back in person with the way they're getting taught at home. So you get homeschooled, virtual learning homeschool versus the way the teachers are doing it back in class. So we'll watch for that learning gap to happen.
Mm-hmm. And Miss Chris, what about you? How has virtual learning been going your way?
Well, we went back briefly. My daughter's in 3rd grade, and so which was I think good for her. It was virtual learning was a huge struggle. So it's been hard to start over again. I think in virtual learning, it has definitely gotten smoother. There's been some little internet issues that are the most frustrating thing because nobody can do anything about that. And I don't think they're recording now that she's gone back. I don't think they've been recording classes that she might have missed. So it's like that piece is just gone. And I also feel really lucky that she understands the new math. So I have not had to relearn math because she understands it really well. But one of my concerns is she's in 3rd grade, and it's a really important reading year. And she's never struggled with reading, but her grades are vastly different this year than all of her other years when in the ELA in the reading course. And I've always seen her as a strong reader. So I just don't know if this is just this teaching format is not conducive for teaching reading and writing paragraphs and essays. And it's been a real struggle for a child that does not usually struggle with school, and that's been really hard to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's been a challenge, and I think when this thing happened in March of this year, there was grace. Like the tornado hit, then COVID hit, and life was crazy. And when August came in, it was like they're still getting ready. And we'll talk about that later on. Just the new surveys that just came out, and just the response. It's clear parents don't want to put their kids in an unsafe environment. And so that's super duper clear, right? Like we don't want to send our kids just to send them back if it's going to be unsafe. But one of the things that we're starting to see, and just love to hear from you guys, and Carrie, we'll start with you. Like, I think they want to see a safe approach, but definitely the kids back in school. I think it's starting to go down that route. Maybe I'm wrong, but just looking at the survey last night, I was like, all right, like parents are still like, yeah, we're not sending our kids back if it's unsafe. People have concerns about the vaccine. I see that popping up, but parents, if there's a safe alternative, I hear parents loud and clear. But what do you think, Carrie?
I actually missed the survey deadline. Just went right back because I think I may have changed my answer to staying virtual because of the way the numbers are. And I am so glad they're not sending us back unsafely. And I just fully support that. I can't say that. And I'm looking at friends in other counties who, their school is closed this week. Next week they go back, and I'm like, why are they going back? The numbers are not it. There's nothing to support that. This is dangerous. So I am so glad that they're making that choice. And I am so grateful for teachers that are relearning the work that a lot of them have done for years. And I know a lot of us are doing that at our workplaces. But it is how do you account for the different learning styles of students? What if you have the kinesthetic or that hands-on kind of learner? How can you create that so that they are connecting and understanding, and I'm seeing a lot of creativity and keeping engagement, but it's hard, and I think there's going to be some deficits. And honestly, I wish we could just not grade this year at all, and just do our best to learn things and then reset. That would be my dream for this year.
Awesome.
And I feel for the young kids that are coming in. You imagine we was coming in, we didn't really have pre-K. We had, kindergarten, first grade. What about those kids coming in learning the ABCs? And everything was always in order. You got the little song A, B, C, D. And then now they learn on the computer. A is over here, B is over there. There's nothing really in order. So it's almost like you be teaching them on the keyboard. Like they learn how to type in order to learn the ABCs. So it's there's gonna be another difference. I couldn't imagine is being a young child to come in first time you're in front of a computer, the Zoom class. It's just gonna be something.
Even the instructions on how to attach a document for assignment is way more complicated than I'm doing in my workplace, and that is frustrating to me. That it's so complicated to submit an assignment, download, and then save again, and then I'm surprised they don't give up easier, and maybe some of them have.
Yeah. You can definitely see the Zoom fatigue within our students and our parents. Me in Portland, like I think my son is on the computer. I think we get on at 8. And then he has a lot of breaks, which are good. But I think we finished today at 1:30. Then it officially closes at 2:30. But we are learning. We are. It's teaching me a thing or two, but I'm pretty sure it's teaching him. I used to joke with him. I was like, snow days are over, dude. Like next time there's a snow day, they're just gonna be like, oh, we're going online. Like don't worry about it. But we laugh about that. And so what do you guys think? So as we look at our kids right now, one of the things that we saw yesterday, there have been 20 to 24,000 truancies in MNPS. And so we're trying to figure out how, is it an issue of people not getting on? Are there glitches? But what do we do with some of the learning loss? Like as parents, as we look back, like school is probably not going to open back up in January. I just get the sense of we haven't been talking about it. But it's not going to happen in January. It's still cold and flu season. But what happens when we do open up? How do we deal with learning loss amongst our kids?
You got the first thing you got to say it's a problem and know the
Mm-hmm.
problem. So you got to see how much learning loss.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to know what the kids even know. What do they know? What did they know before this? They're learning nothing through it. So you got to know exactly what the problem is. And that's why we're so talking about the individual learning plans. How each child is individualized.
Mm-hmm.
Each check the school gets is individualized. Got
Mm-hmm.
different names on it. So each policy, each plan should be individualized with the parents at home with the kids now. They know what they see, they know what they're going through. You got the teachers online is going through it. And with the administrators and with the kids, all of them together, you got to lay out a plan. You know, you don't build a house on a blueprint. You don't go into business without a business plan. So, and each one of these kids is really a different business plan for the schools. So therefore, you have to assess them, see where they are, see what they know, see what they don't know, to get them back on whatever grade level they're supposed to be on, which is going to be a task because some of these kids are, I'm going to say, in 11th grade and they're on 7th grade reading level.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's a real big task, and this thing is going to keep on going. The numbers are going up. I think I heard something about 500 new cases a day, 100 new deaths a day. So it's really coming back again. And that's the thing about it's going to have to be done right. This virtual learning things have to be done right. You still got kids with no access, computers. You got calls this morning with kids with still no access, no computers, no schoolology. And these kids are not tech savvy. And, you know, the thing about it is they hadn't bought books in the school in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so these kids, you got money set aside for books. These kids already had computers. When this thing happened right here, they should have already had computers. I remember uh, years ago, it was like each child, you got a school age child, they're supposed to have free Wi-Fi. So each child should have already had Wi-Fi. So those are two situations that we have a problem with. It could have been already done. It was done right the first time. Then we just be working on the instruction part of it. Now we got to worry about Wi-Fi, computer, instruction. Are they on? Are they truant? Are they not? It's just so many different things that's going into this. And in the meantime, the child is there and they just stuck in the middle of it, don't know what to do.
Or one day this week there was a power outage in my neighborhood, and nobody could get online. So there are so many factors I think to look at, and especially with us being online, don't you think literacy is more important than ever? Especially in our whole world, we're having to do a lot more reading than just being able to listen. So it's going to be harder to get by, I think, if your reading level's lower.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a big part that we've been talking about, just literacy. I think as we think about Metro, and I love to hear from parents, like we realize like literacy was already a moot point in our school system that we were not getting it. And I think, you know, in my personal opinion, with the compassion that we also have to have a sense of urgency once this pandemic ends. You know, it'll never be the same, but I just keep thinking about what happens to those kids who are falling, you know, further behind. And maybe they're not. Maybe it's not happening. But I just think I got a good feeling that we have to have some type of plan to see how do we recover. And I know we're doing the individual learning plan with Propel, and I think that's a start. But I think first we got to believe and see the evidence that our kids are falling further behind. Because with that, it'll create that sense of urgency so we can realize that we got work to do.
You know, the schools a lot talk about parents and they're not being involved, but I'm thinking, I don't know how. I know I'm pretty good at reading, but I don't know what level my daughter should be at in third grade. I don't know what the expectations are. And occasionally they'll send home like this document that is coded and has abbreviations that I don't understand. So I think that might be another part of it is I need to know what to expect, what I'm looking for, what is on track.
Yep, and I agree. I think it's one mother in Taurus. I want you to give. So yesterday we had an action because we had four different parents reach out to us who were primarily in the Maplewood cluster. I guess the district sent home truancy letters, and I'm gonna tell you, when you get the truancy letter, it even the toughest parent, it scares the heebie-jeebies out of you. You're like, oh, like I'm about to go to jail. And one parent was like, I've been online, and I know my kid has been online because I've been at the house looking at it, and it's no way he should have been counted absent all of these days. And Torvis talk about that, but I think what you're saying, Carrie, is we need to understand where our kids are, because one parent said that they told me my kid was on a 200 level in reading, right, in the fifth grade. How does that sound? Like your kid is on a 200 style reading, like they're on a 200 reading level in the fifth grade. Like, how does that sound to you, Carrie?
I have no idea if that's good or bad. Is that second grade or is that?
So this is what happened. I mean, we use a 100 scale, so it's like, oh, my child must be killing it. But what ended up happening, she heard another parent who had a kid in the fifth grade say, oh, and your child is on a 500 level. And so you already use your context clues, Carrie. Like 200 was second grade, 500 was fifth grade. And then she was just like, she demanded to know. And they told her, yep, like your child is on a second grade level. And so to your point, how do we make sure that they're giving us the lingo and the verbiage so we can even know? Because she walked away initially thinking that her child was knocking it out the park. In reality, her child was really behind. Yeah. But Taurus, talk about just yesterday, just in your experience and just things that came out of that for you.
Yeah, well, yesterday, like you said, you not only have parents reach out to you now you have actual kids calling you. This child really just was looking on for somebody to help him, and he just so happened to see somebody that looked like him. They had a phone number on there, so he reached out, and he wanted to be in school. He wanted to be a lawyer. He wanted to play football, but the child
Mm,
didn't have access to anything. He he his computer hadn't been working, so I was talking to the child, and we was just riding. Was talking. He was like, you know, it hurt him that his mom was on the phone with a lady, and then when she got off the phone, she just walked up to him and said, "Well, we just kick you out of school." He's like, "For what?" Because he's been reaching out, saying the computer stuff is not working,
mm-hmm.
and now they go kick him out of school, and it's like he hadn't done anything wrong. The child's already going to a failing school, but how you gonna kick a child out of failing school? You should be trying to lock him into school. So yesterday, the action that we're taking was to get the child back in school.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be throwing. It's 20,000, 24,000 kids. They talking about it's truancy. 24,000 kids can't be truant. So now, what is your system as far as looking at the attendance? Another parent reached out and they told her they had a glitch in the system. So why are you sending out truancy letters? You got a glitch in the system, and why come you have to communicate it's a glitch in the system? But if a parent calls and say something to them about it, then they'll fix it. Well, how many parents don't know to call and reach out? Some parents might not even have a phone to reach out. So it's just the information that you never did give out. So we had to go down there to get this child in. They didn't want to come out, so we made them come out. We need to talk to somebody. These kids need to be in the classroom. These kids want to learn. The stigma that the parents are not here, the parents are here. We trying to do everything we can to make sure these kids will get educated. But you have to give us the right tools. You have to give us the right access. You have to give us things going on. Even this morning, the child got a computer. Now you got a computer that's working. Now you can't get in schoolology. So you cut off his schoolology. So now, okay, we got to get in contact with them again. Another parent that was there yesterday, her child, she got a new computer, but now all her work is in the other computer, and they cut it out for something. She can't even get into it. This child has redone her assignment 3 times, and now she got to redo it again. So when I talked to the child this morning, she was like, "I just want to quit and get a GED. I don't want to go through this. I got to keep going through this and keep doing the same thing over and over, and it's not their fault." So yeah, like I said, kids are really, really frustrated with what's going on. The parents are frustrated, and it kind of boils over. But to hear a child, just to see this child, and just to see that this child is struggling, and the adults, as far as the system, is not doing what they're supposed to do to help a child. And it's not just one; it's many of them. It's like a trend. So we just dealt with them 4 yesterday, but We just heard it's 20,000 more like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now the question is, oh, we bought 54,000 laptops. Okay, it's still good, but you still have 86,000 kids. So somewhere off in them numbers, you saw somebody's lacking, somebody is without.
Yeah.
And as I guess being in the system, you should be seeing these numbers and thinking, okay, where are all these kids at? Go back to 3,600 kids ain't never logged in. Now you add all these numbers up. So to me, you really teaching 30,000 kids.
Yeah.
With all these different factors that's going on, and they struggling too. Kids are getting F's that never got an F before. Don't even know what an F is. That works on your psyche, you know. Even if I was in school and we didn't get no C, but now these kids was on AB honor roll. I think a parent yesterday was talking about, she asked on Facebook how many kids kids getting AB honor roll. They used to get it, and only one responded. We said AB students, and now they're getting L's. So it's something wrong.
Yeah. What do you think, Carrie? I think that was a lot, but I think what was in Torvis's frustration is the kids who are already falling behind. I mean, they're falling behind even more. And so we're just trying to think, like, what are some of the things that we can do to, like, make sure we stand in the gap to help those kids out?
I think, well, how you all found me, I think Torvis found me on a Metro Facebook page talking about inequity. And I think we circle back to that again, because some of there are pockets of kids who are still not getting what they need, you know, and some of these schools that are better resources. And I just keep wondering why, if we are all Metro and those computers are for all of us and that Wi-Fi is for all of us, why don't all of us have it? And why have, you know, before my child and the kids in her school could get computers or hotspots, why were kids in other schools trading out for better computers before we had any at all? And so there's some like distribution of technology, but then there are also like the culture at the different schools. You've got teachers and faculty reaching out at some of the schools to keep the kids from falling in the gaps, and you don't have, that's not happening across the board. So why is that, and what can be done about that? And there are people willing to help that can. Do you need volunteers to call people? I think there'd be people willing to do that. Or I'm a pastor at a church in town, and we are interested in getting behind like policy level changes. We just need to find where those are. So I think there's a willingness, but I'm not sure how there's the communication on how we can support our whole community.
Yeah, and Ms. Gardner said that's right, Ms. Carey. I think it's humanizing it, right? And I think you brought up the fact of faith. Like we know kids are struggling and people are standing in the gap. I think we got to realize and hear from leadership, like what can we do in order to make that change? Because we know kids are struggling. And just a synopsis, just to give everybody like a background of what happened. And so we heard from these parents, and it was hard. I ended up getting a text from the Maplewood student, and I got it, I want to say it was about 7:30 in the morning. So I was like, man, these kids are already prank calling. Like I've been doing that since I was a kid. But as I listened to the kid, I realized, I was like, oh no, this is a serious call. And he was frustrated, he was angry, he was afraid. And he sent me this message and said, let me make sure I quote it right, what he said on the message. But it really touched me in a sense of like, this is a kid who was reaching out for help. And he said, here it is. He said, you're welcome. I told him to send me his email address so I could try to get him some help. He said, you're welcome. I just don't want to be a dropout at a young age. So I had to call or do something. I need all my credit. Thanks. And I was just like, to get that text message, that's a follow-up, right? Like, my son is 11. Like, I'm no shade to my son, but he can be lazy at times, right? So for this 10th grader who, when I was a 10th grader, I was not reaching out to people to get help. It really touched me, and we realized we needed to do something. And then another parent, we did a speaker series with the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Penny Swin. And she was on there like she was having problems at Maplewood. Then another parent said her kid had got kicked out of Jerry Baxter. This was in the Maplewood cluster. And so we end up going up to the Board of Education. Sonia was leading it along with the 10th grader. And she asked to speak to somebody because we needed some action. This kid wants to be back in school. And they told Sonia that no one was there. We kind of figured that was going to happen. And so we had parents outside who were going in. I mean, we just started honking the horn. It was like an action to get attention. And by the time you got 8 to 10 cars honking the horn, everybody is coming out. And everybody who said they were not there, who came out, Carrie? The people who we needed to see. And they end up getting their child and the other parents some help. They individually, they helped out each parent. They got them online. And there's still some issues today, but when they were walking away, it was something to accomplish. But what we said, it just wasn't about the kids, right? Who was it about, Torvis? Like, it's not just about the kids. And what we always say is it's the systemic issues. We're not here to one parent.
Yeah, it's the system. The system is set up like that. We look at it, the system's failing, but is it working the way they want it to work? Because we got kids in this 3728 that's going, it's the largest one. In 3728 school to prison pipeline, the largest. Look on the stats. That area in Nashville, Tennessee, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, is the worst in the world. And you have this system that has the nerve to be kicking kids out or not having the system right. So if it's not right here, guess where they going? They end up in jail. So the system keep on rolling. So it's a system issue. That's why we want to make sure that we had to get something done with those 4 parents. And like I said, looking at the stats, it's 20,000 more parents.
Yeah,
we need something done.
Yeah.
The numbers are overwhelming, but when it comes down to it, like the kind of work that you've been doing, it is humanizing it, like you said, is so important.
Yep, humanize it. It's not placing the blame, but realizing that, what do they say? Houston, we have an issue. And starting to address that issue. And so we'll transition to our next thing. So this has been a busy week. Monday, we had Dr. Penny Swin. And this was our last speaker series of the year. And one of the things that we really wanted to talk about is learning loss. The governor put out a statement and said there was going to be high stakes tests, but they were not going to be counted against the students. And so, there were opinions back and forth, but one thing that she wanted to specifically address was learning loss. And what we just realized that, again, we just looked at places in Nashville who, before the pandemic, out of 100 kids, only 12 of them were reading on grade level. You look at the ACT rate in the whole district, it's at 19, but in some communities, the average ACT score is 12. You look at, and this is going into them as people, but you look at the transient rate, like how many times do they move during the year? And some people in some communities are moving 2 and 3 times a year, which that's kind of hard to imagine that you move 2 or 3 times a year. And so we just started to talk about, Carrie, the individualized learning plan. And I think what we're going towards is, one size fits all model is starting not to work in our public school system. I always said, in the pandemic, we all have different masks, they're different colors, we wear different shoes. And so when we think about our kids, I love sports. I've always been outdoorsy. I love basketball and football and playing. My son could care less about that. You know what he loves? Fortnite and the Nintendo Switch. We're just different, but that's my son. And so we have to realize academically our kids, they just have different interests in things. And so what are some of the things that you want to see, Carrie, addressed in a potential individualized learning plan?
I think, I someone just said never worked, and I think one size fits all. No, I don't. I don't believe it's ever worked. But and to that point, I really think that some assessment of learning style should should be addressed in there. Obviously, you need to know where your child is at and where are their growing edges and their strengths and weaknesses. But I think that there's something to be said to understanding someone's learning style and teaching to that. It's I mean, it's like if everybody could have an IEP, that would be amazing, you know?
Yep. What do you think, Torvis?
No, I think that even with the individual learning plan, the language, everything needs to be laid out where parents and kids understand it. Stop all this over talking, putting it up here, don't know the terms and the language. Let's just go through there and assess them and say, okay, your child is reading on this level. Your child needs to work on this. Even with the map test score, you got to have the data to even understand it. Once they got the data, but if someone got the data, tell you know what it means. You know, just like the lady said to 200, she thinking her child was doing good until she was trying to talk to somebody else and it's like, oh, wait a minute, 500. What's going on? But you gonna tell me your child's on 200 and you say they with a straight face, oh, your child's on 200 in fifth grade. You know, that pisses a parent off.
Yeah.
For you to say that, and it was never nothing said, no interventions or anything like this. So even when you're doing this plan, it need to be laid out where it's why we say we want the child, the teacher, the parent, the administrator, everybody to buy into it. And it's almost like in the health field, you have a shared health chart. You go to different doctors, you go to one chart, like an EMR, EHR. And the same thing to be in the school chart, the Coon files, whatever. Everything can be in one place. Anybody can go in and look at it and need it to help their child. If they go to another school, fine, it follows them.
Yeah. Yeah. And Marnisha said, yes, creative, technical. And Miss Snelling said, just use plain language. Like, you know, when we think about when they told you, you know, oh, like it's on a 200 or I don't understand.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that means failing. Yeah.
So just tell me what it is. Don't tell me it stands for, well, frankly, we can do this. No, it stands for failing. That's all. As simple as this. Plain language. I don't want to hear no, well, it's not time. They got time to make it up. They are failing. If they failing, they failing. Simple as that. Let's give them some help. Don't wait till the 6 weeks run up there. Well, you know, they didn't do this and do. No, you should let me know they're failing beforehand. You know what a child is doing in the first 2 weeks out of 9 weeks. Talk to me then.
Yeah. Don't let it go to the end. Yeah. And as we transition, one of the requests that we got from one of the parents yesterday, she came up and she was like, where are some of the support systems that are helping people during Christmas? And so one thing that I promised that we would do today is just everybody that's on here. I see Miss Snelling, I see Victoria, I see Miss Brewington, Visha, Marnisha. Who else do we have on here? Cameron, Tierra, Mr. Trimble. Like, let us know if there's support things out in our community where they can get gifts, they can get renaissances. Please start posting links that people can be directed to get help. You know, next week will be the last week of school for this fall semester. And I know it's top of the mind for parents to start really thinking about Christmas. I still got to do Christmas shopping, but we want to know the places, again, if you know places who give rent assistance, utilities, gifts, clothes for the needy, like please post those links because we want to start to send that out in an email blast just to our network so they can know. And so just think through those things, do some research, post the links. But one thing I want to ask you, Carrie, and for all of us on here, what are your plans during Christmas time? What are your plans? You know, your children will be on break for about 2 weeks. It's not looking like Christmas, but it's feeling like Christmas. And so what are your plans this Christmas season, Carrie?
Just small family. Actually, we are traveling, even though I wouldn't recommend it. My father is to the end stage of cancer. So we've actually COVID tested and been quarantining and then hope to spend some time there. But everything is so much a little low key this year, which is a little hard, but necessary.
Yeah. What about you, Torvis?
Making memories, man. making memories. Every year we go to Springfield and my dad's house, and we just all just have a ball. There's always something going on. If it's squirrels come out of Christmas tree or something, there's something going on in my dad's house. He's like Clark W. Griswold with an afro. So I'm just going to make. Marnisha been not telling either, but it's just going to make memories. And being around your family, you really ain't seen everybody all year, and he'd like to give everybody in the family a gift. But you just making memories, man. We all still here, the end of another year, and and just be happy.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to do the same thing with you guys combined. And so we usually have a big family gathering. And this year we're condensing it to just our immediate family, just brothers and sisters. But one thing that we're doing, like everybody has to be bought in, is getting COVID tested on a Monday. We're going to get together on that Wednesday. But my wife was pregnant. My brother's wife was pregnant. So if you don't come with those tests, you're just not going to be able to get in, and it's just going to be a small gathering. Because we need the memories. Somebody said don't have a open Thanksgiving and then an ICU Christmas, and even in Thanksgiving it was really small. We just did it with my immediate family. And so this is brand new. I'm looking forward to the Christmas. This will be different. But yeah, walking into it, you realize that this is going to be a different year. Different year. And what are you guys doing? Like, let us know. Like, what are you guys doing, Candace? Like, what do you have planned? I think you said life skills in the community for your son and daughter. Who else? Like, let us know some things that you got going on with your family.
We also have a birthday party, so
Okay.
we started. They start opening the gifts like 8 in the morning, and don't get to like 9 at night because my daddy just buy everything, and then we had to transition to a birthday party for Marnisha for her birthday. So we go from Christmas to birthday.
Oh yeah, I see it on your birthday, Christmas, baby. You gotta. Well, I don't know how. I mean, I guess you get showered with gifts because it's like you got to give gifts for Christmas and birthday. But yeah, if you grew up like me, it's like which one you want this year? You want birthday gifts or Christmas? You gotta choose one.
Now we are planning on doing a lot of baking.
Oh,
We're scaling it down. There's going to be a lot of Christmas cookies.
yeah.
Making memories that way.
Yes. We got Sonya on here. Hey, Sonya. Sonya went over, and shout out to Sonya. I think that was important. One of the kids were still struggling with signing on to Schoology. Again, like this is the real stuff and humanizing it. So usually she's leading this segment, but she was like, stop, drop, and roll. And go over there to try to help that kid and appreciate you, Sonya. We miss you on here, but we know you're doing the good work out there. Tony Miller, okay, salt, dough ornaments, and making packages for the homeless, decorating cookies. God bless you, Tony. That just sounds awesome. Torvis out here spoiling his cousins, Marnisha. And then Candace just kept it real. She said, my extended family don't ever come around us. They think I'll tell the rubs off. It's just my parents and my kids and me. Hey, love is love. No fake love. Well, just with that, guys, we want to wrap it up. Just any last words as we think about education. I'll tell you guys, next week will be our last access denied for the year as we get ready to shut down. We are going to have a fellowship starting in the new year at the end of January. So if you know people who have an interest to learn the education system, learn how to advocate for other parents, and just have a heart for the community, please put them in contact with us, and we'll have one of our organizers reach out. But any last words, Carrie?
Oh, hang in there. That's what I would say. Hang in there.
Hang in there. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
What about you, Torvis?
Just keep at it.
Yeah.
Parents, if you guys having problems, reach out to us. This little boy found us. So I know the parents will find us. And he had no Wi-Fi, anything. He found a way to get in contact with us. So just get in contact with us, and we want to work with you and work with the school system to make sure that our kids get a quality education.
Yeah, all day. And again, thank you guys. And again, we'll have a big event next week. We got some great things coming up in February. But thank you guys. Thank you, Carrie, for jumping on here. We always say cohort 5, gonna keep it alive, and you are doing your thing. And again, we got some things working on with some task force that I know either Tierra or Torvis have been talking to you about. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week.